When last we left our heroes, they had successfully destroyed the otherworldly pocket demonic dimension that served as one of Baal's outposts. They are now back on the material realm, behind the illusionary wards, inside the large Nosmer camp. Our adventurers find themselves inside a tower of sorts. They look outside the window and realize that they are high above the ground. Coming from the outside, they can hear shouting and a multitude of voices. The whole camp is filled with movement, but the Nosmer do not seem to be alerted to their presence yet. Most of the adventurers decide to go to the balcony near them and investigate what is happening outside. Bolan, however, decides to search the tower. The dwarf, with no stealth skills whatsoever, who has been oblivious to combat unfolding around him multiple times so far, decides to investigate the tower, while the rest of the adventurers separate from him. Yes, that sounds like a great plan indeed. Indeed, what could possibly go wrong? Arakald and Gharvan beckon Jametysta to come see the strange structure that they are looking at. Bolan continues on towards the opposite direction of the group. He goes up the stairs, and lo and behold, alerts a large group of Nosmer to his presence. The Nosmer are taken aback and shocked. How did this dwarf appear here behind their lines, inside this tower, unnoticed? The alerted Nosmer start shouting. It is then that the rest of the group hears what is going on and starts rushing towards Bolan. A volley of arrows is shot at Bolan, who is saved only by his class feature and the grace of the One. Barely standing, he manages to heal himself, while the rest of the adventurers assault the alerted Nosmer with their spells. The Nosmer do not survive this onslaught of potent spells, but the loud sounds that accompanied all of their spellcasting alerted a group of Nosmer from below that was standing next to the strange object. Bolan quickly climbs to the other balcony where the alerted Nosmer were and takes a look at his surroundings. The camp itself is massive, built on top of what appears to be a ruined complex of a fort of sorts. Bolan then looks down below to his left. The Nosmer from below had sent one of the soldiers to investigate. The Nosmer soldier climbed up the stairs and saw our heroes. Our adventurers sprung an ambush and tried to silence the soldier before he could alert the others, but alas, ultimately failed in this. Once the soldier started shouting, warning his companions below about the intruders, our brave adventurers decided to hell with it and threw a plethora of spells at the Nosmer. Most of the Nosmer soldiers from below waited, deciding not to attack the adventurers. One of them quickly ran in the opposite direction of the adventurers towards another tower. Our brave heroes deduced that he is probably going to call for backup. What was worse, an arcane bowl of pure light manifested within the center of the strange structure where the Nosmer were and continued expanding. Our heroes assumed that this device was actually the fabled portal that the Nosmer had corrupted and are now using to bring more soldiers to this island. Deciding that it would be best to run down and kill off the Nosmer that are by the portal before they are joined by more of their allies, they rush downstairs. Sadly, the Nosmer are professional soldiers led by a spellcaster that is able to lessen the lethality of our heroes' spells. Our adventurers manage to defeat some of the Nosmer, but not all before another group of Nosmer soldiers steps forth from the teleport. The Nosmer that came out of the portal are led by someone that wears the same armor and weapon as the leader of the small group of Nosmer that came to parley with the adventurers before the siege of Hammerdeep began. Bolan is not and cannot be sure that this is the same person that miraculously survived the massive amount of heaven's judgments that obliterated the small group of soldiers that were following him that day to parley, but he nevertheless waves at the Nosmer leader mockingly and, overfilled with confidence, declares that he will meet his end today. The Nosmer leader, naturally, ignores Bolan as he is frantically shouting orders to his fellows, surprised to see adventurers inside their military camp. Bolan's waving, however, draws the attention of the archers that stepped out of the teleport, who loose their arrows at Bolan. Bolan's shield and armor save him this time. Our brave heroes overcome the Nosmer that stepped through the portal, eventually. Firstly, Arakald and Gharvan managed to surround the Nosmer spellcaster and eliminate him. Once he was down, Bolan and Jametysta casted defensive spells at the rest of the Nosmer soldiers. Gharvan then managed to afflict the leader with a frenzy status, who turned on his own soldiers and started massacring them. This broke the morale of the archers in the back line, who were then easily picked off by the adventurers. Finally, the adventurers killed off the frenzied leader. Tired but emboldened by their victory, Arakald, Gharvan and Jametysta decide to use these few peaceful moments to investigate the portal. Bolan retreats back to the stairs of the tower to act as a lookout.
All of our heroes sense that something is very wrong with this portal. They take out some crystals that were powering the portal, assuming that these are teleportation crystals. Jametysta decides to cast Identify on the crystals. She then gains insight that the crystals are not teleportation, but soul crystals, filled with the souls of innocents sacrificed by the Nosmer leader, who they have not yet fought here. What is worse, Orlos and Jametysta's friend were both recently ritualistically sacrificed in this fort, and their souls are now trapped inside the crystals. The Nosmer have somehow altered the teleportation gate, and it now works by being powered with souls instead of arcane magic. Seeing the fate of her friend almost mentally breaks Jametysta. She starts smashing the soul crystals, but to no avail. They are, for all intents and purposes, artifacts. There are no known mortal means that could destroy such items. Gharvan and Arakald look bewildered at her, and Jametysta then explains what she saw in her vision. Our brave heroes then decide to at least take all the soul crystals with them. Removing the soul crystals from the teleport causes it to stop emanating with arcane power. Jametysta then casts the magical eye spell. With it, she scouts her surroundings as well as the interior of the second tower that they see in the distance. The news are not good. There are two large groups of Nosmer soldiers that are preparing to attack them. They have obviously been alerted by one of the Nosmer soldiers from before. The larger group of the Nosmer preparing to attack them is led by the person that performed the sacrificial ritual that killed Orlos and Jametysta's friend. This Nosmer carries a banner of his own. Knowing full well that they cannot face such large number of Nosmer soldiers and hope to win, our brave heroes retreat to the first tower. There, Bolan and Jametysta grab some barrels and position them as makeshift obstacles on the stairs leading to their level within the tower. Soon enough, the two large groups of Nosmer merge into one huge company, and they start going towards the adventurers. Arakald and Gharvan grab some of the longbows from the Nosmer which they had defeated before, and as soon as the Nosmer come into reach, start loosening arrows upon them. They manage to take down a few of them, but this does not deter the Nosmer. Quite the contrary, they raise their shields and rush towards the tower, eager to shed blood. Our brave heroes await the Nosmer from a vantage point. The Nosmer approach the tower in a large, massive group, just as our heroes hoped they would. Once the Nosmer reach the base of the tower, our heroes collectively cast Heaven's judgment upon the Nosmer, with the Nosmer leader being the focus point of their fury and wrath. As they are casting their spells, however, the Nosmer leader chuckles and lifts his banner, He then invokes Khan, a demigod that he follows, and through the power of his banner, invokes a protective globe that completely protects him and the rest of the Nosmer soldiers from our brave hero's wrath. The Nosmer leader then orders his men to charge at our hero's positions, confident in his imminent victory.
The fighting takes a while. Due to the obstacles that Bolan and Jametysta have placed, the Nosmer are unable to storm the adventurers quickly. The initial attack from the Nosmer archers is enough to seriously wound Bolan, and he starts dying. While bleeding out, Jametysta barely drags Bolan's body from the outside stairs into the inside to temporary safety. Gharvan managed to hex the leader of the Nosmer, the one holding the banner. Upon doing so, the leader became disrupted, and although the leader was then unable to utilize the banner properly, he somehow still managed to use his unholy class features, leaving Gharvan puzzled. This should not be possible, and yet it was happening before his own eyes. Once Gharvan hexed the leader, he was able to cast Heaven's Judgment on the Nosmer, and boy did he use this spell to great effect. 3 times did he manage to cast it, and 3 times did he strike at the Nosmer, killing many. But alas, the Nosmer spellcaster managed to disrupt Gharvan, and he was ultimately brought down by the Nosmer archers. Once the remaining Nosmer got through Bolan's obstacles, they were stopped by Arakald. Arakald gave just enough time for Jametysta to heal Bolan to consciousness. At the very last moment, both Bolan and Jametysta emerged from inside of the tower to the stairs outside, only to see Arakald fall down, bleeding to death as a result of a coordinated attack by the Nosmer soldiers. The Nosmer spellcaster also managed to disrupt Arakald with his spell, the same as he did with Gharvan a few moments before. Once Bolan and Jametysta went outside, they became the newest targets of the archers that had killed Gharvan. Bolan quickly reacts to Arakald's falling down and casts Symbol of Hope. The symbol heals Arakald as well as a few minor wounds that he and Jametysta suffered from the archers. Arakald regains consciousness and manages to surprise the Nosmer leader, who was standing above Arakald's body preparing for a coup de grace. Arakald's strike finds purchase, and he deals a devastating blow to the leader's groin area. The leader is then finished by Bolan and Jametysta. The Nosmer spellcaster, seeing the death of his leader, does something that no one could have anticipated. He takes a ritualistic dagger from his belt, says a few phrases in an unknown language, and slits his own throat, leaving Bolan, Jametysta, and especially Arakald in shock. In an instant, the Nosmer archers that were still alive explode, their guts and armor parts flying off in random directions. Bolan and Jametysta quickly revive Gharvan, thinking that it is over. Our brave heroes are exhausted, and their magical energies all but depleted. Gharvan and Arakald are also disrupted, unable to utilize their class features or cast spells for some time until the disruption status lifts from their bodies. While Arakald, Gharvan, and Jametysta start discussing about what had just happened, Bolan grabs the Nosmer leader's banner and starts smashing it against the tower's stone walls. While doing so, he noticed that the blade that the Nosmer leader had with him started glowing and slightly moving of its own accord on the ground. This subtle movement quickly became more erratic, and Bolan warned his companions to run. The sword explodes with such force that it manages to wound our brave heroes. They survive the blast, partially thanks to Bolan's warning, but a shadowy figure starts manifesting before their eyes. The figure of a tall humanoid. The sheer presence of this creature destroys both the sanity of our brave heroes as well as the very fabric of the material realm around it, leaving cosmic gaps behind. Jametysta, almost amusingly, tells the creature that this is not its realm and that it has no business being here, to which the creature responds, "This is my realm now." Gharvan and Bolan run downstairs towards Jametysta and Arakald. They all got separated from the explosion. They are too slow for the creature, however. With its burning and charred wings, it takes to the sky only to come crashing down with inhuman speed moments afterwards. It strikes at Bolan with its morning star, who tries to block the creature's blows with his shield. The sheer power of the creature's blows shatter both Bolan's shield and his arm. Bolan completely loses it without even realizing the seriousness of his injury and starts cursing the creature, yelling at it how the shield is a dwarven family heirloom granted to him by his merchant friends. Gharvan tries striking the creature, but its otherworldly armor protects it from Gharvan's blows. Arakald loses all hope and starts retreating towards Jametysta, effectively abandoning Bolan and Gharvan in their hour of need. Realizing that they are in no condition to fight such a foe, he hopes to reach Jametysta and do something with her banner. The creature throws its mace on the ground and grabs Bolan, laughing while doing so. It then once again flies into the air, only to come crashing down on Gharvan, smashing him with Bolan's body. The creature then crushes Bolan's helmet and his skull, as well as the better part of his chest armor and torso with the hand he was holding him in, and then tosses Bolan's lifeless body away. Moments later, before Gharvan could even react, it stomps him into the ground with its right foot, breaking Gharvan's armor and his bones, killing him on the spot. Arakald and Jametysta both give into desperation. This is the end. They start shaking him, praying to the one. The banner does not protect them. The creature turns its gaze towards them, declaring that it will kill them slowly and painfully. But, unknown to the creature, Bolan's sacralis lifted from his lifeless body and reached the creature from the behind. It then burrowed into its body. The otherworldly creature screamed in horrifying pain. Suddenly, light burst from the inside of its body, and then the creature was gone. Bolan's sacralis was also gone. Still shaking, Jametysta siphoned what little magical power was left within Arakald, and, together with what she had, managed to revive Gharvan and Bolan. Our heroes have won and have survived, but at what cost? All but Gharvan are hopeless and irrational. This encounter shook their very being, sowing doubt in their minds. Are they truly ready to finish the mission that the three righteous dwarven souls tasked them with?